say? Ted's they gonna have a lot of shorts? Yeah. Hi, I'm Ted Cook. This is my brother Jason Cook. We are with reallycheapfloors.com, and in today's session we are going to answer questions that our customers and potential customers have sent in to glean information from our years of experience.
Years.
We haven't talked about this, but our parents, Bill and Barbara, bought this store, the beginning of the store, in 1973 from our aunt and uncle. Now, I hate to give away this secret, but I'm older than Jason. I was 5, he was 3, and that was when we started in the floor covering business. All we were allowed to do for several years was to hold the other end of the tape or to go fetch. Later, Jason got to do a lot more, and he got to go out and do installation and did schools and training, and I was still back at the store holding the other end of the tape. But over time, we did learn a great deal, and that's what we'd like to share with you here today. All right, ready for question?
I'm ready.
Should I get hardwood flooring for my restaurant?
No. Wouldn't recommend it. Problem with restaurant hardwood, everybody's always moving chairs in and out, so you're going to get scratches on that floor. I'd recommend the vinyl plank, much more scratch resistant, plus it's waterproof for the spills.
Yeah, and I spill a lot.
You do, so yeah. So if it's one you'd go to, I'd especially recommend not having
Thanks,
wood.
thanks, Jason.
All right, here you go.
Okay.
Why are there so many grades of flooring? Why do stores seem to have different descriptions for the same grade listings, like cabin in seconds?
Now that is a really good question. I'm not sure we'll have time today to answer that one. Why are there so many grades of flooring? Okay, there's lots of answers to this. What happens when you, I like to use the butcher analogy. When you go to the butcher, why is there such a price difference between prime rib and ground beef? Okay, it's the butcher's job to separate that cow into as many marketable pieces as he can. This is job number 1. And job number 2 is to find the highest and best use for each one of those, okay? The butcher that only sells the steaks is going to go broke really soon, okay? He has to sell the ground beef. He has to sell the stew meat. It's sort of the same way with when we're talking about hardwood flooring, especially in solids. There's different characteristics in a piece of lumber and the ensuing finished wood that define boards. It might be, some of the more common grades in unfinished. We'll talk about unfinished because they're so defined. We have number 2 common, we have number 1 common, we have select, and then there's grades like clear above that. And traditionally, clear and select went to the furniture industry, and number 1 and number 2 went to flooring or to millwork. Right now, the furniture, most of it's made overseas, so we're seeing a lot of different grades in flooring. So, like the butcher, the hardwood manufacturer that can find a customer that's wanting the select can do much better than the manufacturer that groups it all together. If you're grouping it all together, you're taking the select, the 2, and the 1 and putting it in one big pile, it's going to sell as the lowest common denominator. So if you have 10% or more number 2 in a box, it's number 2. Doesn't matter if 80% of it's select. If 10% or more, actually more than 5% is number 2 common, it's all 2 common, and it cuts the value in half. So that's why there's so many grades. We partner a great deal with Somerset, and there is nobody in the business that does a better job of utilizing the different grades than Somerset does. One of the problems manufacturers run into is when they sell a box store. Box stores have one rule: they want it the cheapest. So the way you make hardwood flooring cheaper is to lower the threshold for the grading, okay? The more 2 common it has in there, the lower the price is going to be. That's just the way it works, okay? Just like that ground beef that we discussed at the butcher. And a lot of people don't know the difference between the grades of wood. So if you've got what we call a dirty builder or a product that's a mix of 2 and 1, they'll take out the short boards, they'll take out the worst of the knots, so you get a builder grade or a first quality floor that has a wide variety of color, a lot of contrast. They'll stick a big warranty on it, it's still considered a first quality floor. Now compare that to a floor that's all select. The visuals are going to be hugely different, extremely different. But by definition, they're both first quality floors. That's where Somerset really excels. They have some select products that are first quality, and then they'll have some products made with number 1 material that's also first quality. First quality meaning they don't have manufacturing defects. Can we get contrast in a first quality floor? Absolutely. So manufacturers do not like being tied down or having to define what is inside a grade. And that's why it's so important when you're choosing your grade of flooring, look at what an open box looks like. Don't listen to how I describe it. Sure don't want to listen to how he describes it. Look at an open box, study it, okay? If an open box has a lot of shorts in it, then you don't need to say, Ted's they gonna have a lot of shorts? Yeah. Don't, whether it's my salespeople or anybody else's. Look at an open box. So it's just like taste testing something, You don't need me to tell you how it tastes. Try a bite of it. Different descriptions for the same grade listings. The reason you'll find that is different manufacturers have different parameters. Going back to that analogy I used a moment ago, to a company that's selling first quality to a box store, because the threshold is so wide of what's allowed, the threshold for what's not allowed is quite small. So your cabin grade from that stuff going to a box store is going to be much lower grade than, say, the cabin grade from Somerset, where they're selling direct to consumers or through distributors. Just look at a box of it and you'll tell. We sell both. We have some manufacturers that are selling through box stores, others like Somerset that do not, and there's a huge difference in what the cabin grade looks like. Now, seconds are a completely different animal. Seconds mean it's a missed specification, and there's lots of different specifications. We see quite a few where their color variation or gloss level is off. Let's say a floor is supposed to be manufactured and it's supposed to have a 60% gloss and it comes out as a 40% gloss. Well, that means the new material cannot be mixed with the old. And that's really what a second means. That means you can't mix the new with the old. One of them is wrong. Okay, the one that's wrong is graded down as seconds and it's sold. The best, I love seconds. I've used seconds in a couple of houses. The best way to buy seconds is to look at them. Okay, if it's just because the color came off some, you can't tell it. Okay, great place to save 50%. Gloss level, same way. So it's off in gloss level. Who cares? Now, if it's a milling issue, and we used to see more milling issues, they're about a thing of the past. Yeah. Milling issues mean that one tongue's higher than the other. When you put them together, you got a high spot. Milling issues are bad. Those should go in the trash can, okay? We do not sell any floors with milling issues. If a manufacturer comes to us and says, hey, we've got some stuff with milling issues, you want it? No. Let's sell it to a salvage store or something. In the past, 10 years ago, we might have sold some of that when we were getting started. We quickly learned not to do that. How's that? Did I cover enough of that?
That's pretty good.
I got a little long-winded,
yeah.
But that's a tough question. The more information our consumers have, the more likely that it is that we can make them happy. We have a rule here. It's very important that our reality meets or exceeds your expectations. So sometimes customers come to us with wrong expectations. Okay. There's no way our reality can meet them. So it's our job. We can't change the reality, all right? That's not within our power. What we can do is through what we know, transfer information to you, we can adjust your expectations. So if you want a cabin grade that's got a lot of long boards in it, it's not going to happen. So I can either adjust your expectations or I can encourage you to go shop somewhere else and let you be unhappy with them. But there's no way my reality is that my cabin's going to have a lot of long boards in it. Doesn't work that way, okay?
That's good.
Should I shut up now?
Yeah,
okay.
Next question.
All right, next question. Can I use hardwood flooring as wood paneling on walls?
Well, I'm sure you could, not recommended.
I did it.
Huh?
I did it.
Yeah, I know. But it's according to the wall you have. And the grade of wood. If I get if I got a bunch of shorts, what am I gonna nail
shorts.
it to?
Right.
So I need actually a piece of plywood on my wall first, so I'll have something to nail it to. And like you did that wall in your house, it looks good.
Oh, you say that now.
But it is a lot more work.
Yeah.
But it can be done.
Yeah, we see it more as people do it in accent walls. They'll take a unique color. In my case, I took some hickory and stained the boards 4 different colors, and then mixed them up and stuck them on there. It looked good. It's a small old farmhouse that it was never going to look really good. So yeah, you can. Shut up. Quit making fun. What are the disadvantages of vinyl plank flooring? I've never been asked that. Have you?
I ain't either, and I don't know what one would be.
Disadvantages.
You got a waterproof floor. You got a good finish on it.
When they first came out, they were almost all glue down. So your floor had to be really smooth and you get glue all over you. I have the ability to walk by a sealed glue bucket and get it all over me. So I don't like glue. But now they're clicks. Even still, the second, third generation of LVPs were really soft. They wanted to pitch that they were quiet and warm. They didn't mention that they dented really badly, especially in the lower half of the market. Now with these SPC floors, you can get a 20 mil for under $2. There really isn't anything wrong with them. There really isn't. They've got these textures now where the texture matches the visual. What's it called? Registered embossed, embossed and registered. That's pretty neat. So aesthetically, they're the best looking today that they've ever been, and they're the least money that they've ever been. So no disadvantages of today's vinyl plank flooring. How do you clean high gloss floors?
Same as you'd clean any as a satin floor. No detergent.
No rinse cleaners.
No rinse cleaners.
Using no rinse cleaner. Yeah.
Use
Make
a
sure
no
you use
rinse
one.
cleaner. Or water and vinegar.
Right. Which is a no rinse cleaner. The next question, same thing. Why do my laminate floors look dull? I was told it would last 10 years and look just like hardwood. Is a luxury vinyl plank any better? The reason your laminate floors are looking dull is because you've used a cleaner that requires rinsing. All right, you've used soap, Murphy's oil, something like that. It doesn't. It's too hard to rinse. Don't do it. Don't even try it. Use something like the Armstrong Once and Done or the Bonnie product. Doesn't require any rinsing. Again, vinegar and water. You can pour it out. It'll evaporate. Does not leave any residue. And that's what's happened to your floor when they start looking dull there. You've left a residue and they've attracted dust, they've attracted lint, it's sticking to that floor and it looks horrible. You can fix it if you'll go get some Armstrong New Beginning, cut it all back down. You can't hurt the finish, right? What people don't realize in today's floors is that finish does not need your help. It doesn't need shined, it doesn't need waxed, it doesn't need polished. That finish is good, okay? Leave it alone. Don't try to add anything to it. Just use cleaners that clean it.
Hey, can I order warehouse sale items over the phone?
Depends on the item. Sorry about that delay. Some of the items we have in the warehouse sale are there because we don't want to put them on the website. It might be because it's a small lot, because we don't want to sample it. In some cases, it's like the seconds we talked about earlier. It has a defect, and we want you to see it in person, okay? Usually because it's worth more if you see it in person than it is if you don't. When you don't get to see something, you got some gray area, you automatically assume the worst, and you won't pay much for it. So we'll get some of these defects that are just off shade, and it'll be a real high-end wood. We want you to come in and see it because when you see it, you're going to realize how awesome it is. Yeah?
But you can order some things.
Some of them you can. Yeah, if you just call the 800 number, and I take that back. Don't call the 800 number. Call the store that's having that sale, because you may have questions that are applicable to just that product, and that salesman or that manager in that store can go out there and get a board of it and answer that question as well as it can be answered. Certainly better than we could here, at the call center. You know what? That one's done.
That's all done.
Oh, okay, Jason. How important is a moisture meter for hardwood installation?
Probably the most
when we lean back, we're thinking, okay?
Probably the most important tool you could have. It's as important as your nailer to nail the hardwood floor down.
Hey, and I'm going to interrupt just for a second to tell you how important it is. When we laid floors together, The only tool that went into the house with us when we first got there was the moisture meter. There was no toolboxes unloaded. There was no hardwood unloaded. Nothing happened until you carried that moisture meter in there. Because if you got a wet reading, nothing's going to happen. I'm sorry, I'll shut up now. You go ahead.
But and if I was even hiring an installer, I would want to make sure they had a moisture meter.
Absolutely.
First thing we make our guys do when they go to the house, they go in there, they'll put the meter down. Because if you put that meter down and you're reading 20% moisture in your house, and that wood's 10%, we know what's going to happen.
Right.
You're going to have a bucked floor that you're going to be calling us about or whoever about
You get
within 30 days.
This floor's not any good. It's all cupped up, you know.
So yeah, the moisture meter is the most important tool you could have for flooring. And there are good moisture meters and bad moisture meters.
Any of them's better than nothing.
Anything is better than nothing, but we recommend one if it's a pin meter to the longer pins, because we want to read the middle of that subfloor.
Right.
If you're just reading that very top edge layer, most of the time that's dry anyway.
Right.
Because it's got so much air circulation, but we want to read the middle of the subfloor.
And even the meters that we have, the pin meters, there can be standing water, and we can go through that water and get an accurate reading of the center of that board. Almost any professional hardwood installer is going to have one. The reason for that is if he doesn't have one, he's going to have to buy a job occasionally, because if he puts, Jason used the numbers, if that
Or he won't return your calls.
Or he won't return your calls, right. If your wood, your subfloor is 20% and your hardwood flooring is 10%, you come in and nail it down, it's going to go to 20%. It's going to gain that water, even though you got tar paper down. It's going to gain water. It's going to expand. It's going to cup, and it's going to have to be replaced. And we've had a few of those calls. We got blamed for it. This wood's no good. It swelled up. Well, yeah, it's going to do that. The other option that the installer has, he can bring the wood in and acclimate it. Well, acclimate means average it out. So you've got a 20% subfloor, 10% hardwood. Let it sit for about 3 days. Now you got 20% hardwood. Nail that 20% hardwood down. Turn your air conditioner on. Water gets sucked out. You're going to crack between every board in the house. Yeah. It's not the manufacturer's fault. That's why we don't acclimate without a moisture meter. Yeah. Okay. All right, Jason, I'll give you this one. This is an easy one. Can hardwood flooring be installed over particleboard?
Yes, it can. Recommended? No. I've installed quite a few over particleboard. Most of the time installers won't warranty it over particleboard because you're more apt to get a squeak. Particleboard, we know it moves more than any other, gets a little water, it just poofs up. But yes, it can be done, just not recommended.
Yes, the reason it poofs up,
it's just sawdust.
It's sawdust, and it's very reactive to moisture. So if you introduce moisture, whether it's a leak, blowing in, whatever, that particle board expands, and you don't get squeaks when it expands. Okay, when it expands, it pushes everything up high, and then in the winter, if it's seasonal or whenever you dry it out, it shrinks back down, and that nail is now loose. Okay, so every time you step on that board, you get a squeak in the floor, and you want to call your manufacturer, your installer, and say, "Hey, this floor you installed got squeaks in it." Well, that's why. Now, there are a lot of particle board floors, a majority, that never move. I've seen a lot of great floors. Francis' floor, we put it over it. Yeah. It's been a great floor. If you can control the humidity and keep squeaks out of your house, you can put a particle board. Now the manufacturers, oh man, they don't like that idea, because it's sort of like the old argument about one dog meaner than the other. Well, you ask the question of two people, you're gonna get two different answers.
All right, what is the most important part of an LVP floor?
All right, that's going to be a long answer. LVP floors are made of layers. Okay, there's about 5 or 6 different layers, and each layer has a different impact on the longevity or the durability of a floor. I won't say that they're all equally important, but they all do play a pretty serious role. The first one, top coat. Really, the top coat and the wear layer are mixed together. The wear layer, when we compare LVP floors, we'll hear numbers like 6 mil or 8 mil, 12 mil, 20 mil. A mil is 1/1000th of an inch, okay? So those are all discussing how thick that wear layer is. Thicker the wear layer, longer the floor will last. That's not exactly true. The additive in the wear layer can make it harder. So when you're dealing with whether it's Shaw's Armor Bead, which features aluminum oxide, or whether you're dealing with our Core-Tec that's a UV cured finish, either way you're going to get a really hard top coat that is equally important as the thickness of the wear layer. The next is the image layer. The image layer, of course, is going to be where you get your visual. Most of the floors we sell are using a high definition paper, and when you look at them, you can tell it does have a different look to it. Rigid core, the proprietary rigid core that it talks about here. Most of the LVPs today are made either using a SPC, stone polymer core, or WPC, waterproof core. WPC cores tend to be softer, warmer, a little bit quieter, but softer. They do dent, okay, especially the lower end ones. With an SPC floor, it's because it's made of stone parts, it's really hard, okay? The downside, it's a little brittle. You have to be a little bit more careful installing it. You can get chips in the tongue groove. It won't affect it, but it's so much harder. It doesn't dent. You can buy a really good one for under $2, and it's going to last. All right. Next one I think is the most important piece of manufacturing that there is here. It's called the balancing layer. Again, they're made with different layers, okay? And the balancing layer is there to increase stability. Now, almost all of your floors are waterproof. What they don't tell you, the manufacturers don't tell you, in the lower end floors, when you have excessive humidity or if you have direct sunlight, it can make those floors really unstable. So you get warping, twisting, you can even get separation between your boards. And that's caused by over the last several years, we retailers are as much to blame as anybody. We want to get prices down. Everybody wants to be the cheapest. Customer comes in, we don't want to go through the hard work of explaining to them what makes a floor better. We just want to sell them the cheapest floor. Hey, here's one for $1.49. You want to buy it? You know, and we let the customers choose these by price and look. You like this one? It's only $1.49. You know, it's got to be good. Well, we watch when customers drive up. We have a full range of nice cars, so why were we selling everybody the cheapest LVP that we have available? Well, we do, or historically retailers have. So when they started cutting prices on LVP, they didn't just cut profit margin, they had to cut some of the expense. So they started making them cheaper, so they started making them thinner. The first thing to lose was the balancing layer. You're not going to find too many floors under $2 that have a balancing layer, just because people don't know. And most of the time, you're fine. Most of the floors don't move, but some do, and when they do, they're junk. You wad them up, cut them up, and throw them away. So we put a great deal of emphasis on the balancing layer. We do not sell any floors that do not include the balancing layer. Acoustical back. This is a Shaw product here, the Soft Silence. We also offer the Core-Tec Cork Back, which is a natural product. What those do is they just cut down on sound, all right? They make your floor a little quieter, a little bit warmer. There are a few things that can go in here, like with our 7 series from Shaw, we offer the registered embossed. It goes on top of this, and what it does, it takes the texture that's in the top layer and matches what should be texture in the image layer. So if we have a knot in the image layer, our texture will have a knot in it too. That's pretty neat. When you see it in some of the big wide boards, the rustic looks, wow, that texture will really jump out at you. So one of the neat things about LVP is there's not a lot of price difference really from the least expensive to the most expensive. Well, I say that here. We offer a 20 mil floor made by Core-Tec with a cork back, balancing layer, lots of bells and whistles. You can buy it for $1.99 a square foot. That's a great value. So they're really, you know, when you look at the least expensive material in the market, it'll usually run around $1.49, $1.59. You mean for 40 cents I can buy a 20 mil? Yeah, on 1,000 feet, you're talking about $400 or $500 difference. Almost all of our customers are going to go up and buy that better floor. All right. If you have any other questions about that, I know that's a tough question, and I was a little long-winded, but it is important because everybody knows about wood floors. Your grandmother had them, your parents had them. There's wood, you see it all day long. It's not like that with vinyl plank. We, as consumers, we're not that familiar with it, and we would love to help you with information so you can feel real comfortable with your decision. Next question.
Next question.
That was a little long-winded, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
it was.
Okay. Next question, how can I make my LVP floor last longer?
Don't never walk on it.
Now, what kind of silly answer is that? How can I make their LVP last longer? Ooh,
That's a tough question.
That is
I
a tough
mean,
question.
It's
buy a good one to start with,
Yeah, get a good 20 mil
with an SPC core.
with an SPC core with the good finish. I don't know how to make it last longer because it should last for years and years and have no problems.
Yeah, it really doesn't need your help. If you're buying a
right.
decent quality floor to start, it doesn't need your help. And I guess that's a good answer. What can I do? Nothing. It's going to do just fine without your help. Is plywood a good subfloor?
Yes.
Compared to what?
Well, compared to Particleboard,
Yeah.
compared to chipboard, I think it's a stronger floor.
It's very stable.
Very stable. Plywood holds a little more moisture than like your Advantech. But as long as we check the moisture first, it ain't a problem.
Holds a nail very well, better than
Yes.
any of the Orient strand
Yes.
boards. The only kick on plywood is if it gets wet, it can delaminate.
Yeah.
Don't let it get wet, okay? It has no business getting wet. Then we're talking about not just a little bit of humidity. We're talking about getting wet.
If it gets that wet though, you're gonna
Call your insurance agent.
you're gonna have problems with.
We got to wrap it up. So we're gonna take off now and go have a Mountain Dew Zero and enjoy ourselves. And we'll be back in a little while. Thanks.